Alright, okay. Let's do a quick recap about what we have learned so far. We understood what is a set already. We know how to describe a set. Okay, then also we have learned how to draw a Venn diagram. The Venn diagrams that we have been learning yesterday were all about one circle only. Okay, so one circle within maybe the universal set itself. Okay, so today we're going to look at intersection and union. Now, what does the idea actually try to convey? Okay, so let's first look at our intersection. The idea of intersection. Okay, so let's consider an example. Okay, so we have these two sets. Set A contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and set B contains 3, 5, 6, 7. Notice that between these two sets there are some overlaps. Okay, meaning to say there are some elements that are in common, and that's 3 and 5. Okay, so how do we actually represent this idea, okay, in a much succinct or neater manner when it comes to our Venn diagrams? Okay, so where we have one circle each to represent A and B. Okay, because there are elements in common, we usually put that there is an overlap. Okay, so in the overlap itself, there are the elements 3 and 5. Okay, those that are not within the overlap but still within the set A, we will put it in this area, and that's 1, 2, and 4. Okay, whereas for B, we still have 6 and 7 left, so we leave it like that. Okay, so the area where it overlaps, that's what we call the intersection. So the intersection, okay, can be described as a set itself. The notation that we use to describe the intersection will be written as such. Okay, we use this symbol over here to denote the intersection. It is an inverted U, but it's capital letter. No tail, okay? So it is not like how you write a U, you have a tail in itself. Okay? For the intersection sign, there's no tail at all, so please write it in this manner. Okay? So this is a set in total. Okay? It can be described as having the elements 3 and 5. Okay? Practice now 5. Okay, in part I, we want to list all the elements of C intersect D in the set notation. So C intersect D, what are the elements that are going to be found in C intersect D? Let's choose one person. Jasper, what are the elements inside C intersect D? E and G, great. And then we have to draw this Venn diagram. Okay, well, I give you perhaps just 1 minute, okay, to draw out this Venn diagram. Shouldn't be that difficult. universal set since there is no universal set being defined. So it should just be two circles overlapping. Okay, which I see most of you are able to do it. So it should be something like that. By the way, it's not necessary that you have to C over here, D over here. You can actually swap it around. So can you have your D over here, C over here also okay. Just make sure the elements are placed correctly. Okay. Now let's move on to question 2. Okay. For question 2, we are given these two different sets. Okay. First part, we want to list the elements, then find the intersection. Then part 3, we want to draw the Venn diagram. And part 4, we are looking at what does the intersection tell us. Okay, could I give you maybe about 3-4 minutes? Okay, how about that? Right, about 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, to do question 2 on your own. Okay, figure out how the Venn diagram should look like. question 3 already, so let's pause for a moment. Let's take a look at question 2. Okay. So I think generally when it comes to listing out the elements, it shouldn't be much of an issue. What would the elements in E actually be? Okay, so let's see, Xue Jian. Who is Xue Jian, right? Yeah, that's you, is it? Okay. What are the elements in E? 6, 12, 18. Could you also give me the elements in F? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Okay, so these are the elements in E and F. Okay, then we want to find the intersection of E and F. I think that it shouldn't be an issue as well, so we get 6, 12, and 18. Right? Okay. The issue that I have is the way that most of you are drawing your Venn diagrams. Okay, so how should our Venn diagrams be drawn? Okay, most of you are giving me 2 circles. Okay, and you see that for E intersect F, okay, 6, 12, and 18, those are elements in E. They should all be here. Okay, and then you label your E maybe something like that, and this is empty. Whereas for F over here, on this area, you will put in your 3, 9, 15. Okay, so I saw that most of you are drawing your Venn diagrams this way. Okay, when you draw Venn diagrams this way, right? Okay, it doesn't tell us a lot of information, and it can be a bit confusing. Okay, when you draw it out like that, now here we know that it's empty. Okay, but it's not that helpful now because it feels like there could be something inside it. So how do we actually draw it in this for this particular case? We notice that actually all the elements in E, okay, can actually be found in F. What does that make it? E will actually be a proper subset of F, isn't it? Okay, so therefore, what we could instead draw is a E within F, and then we have 6, 12, and 18, 3, 9, and 15 on the outside. Okay, so this should be how your Venn diagram should look like, right? Instead of having 2 overlapping circles. Okay. Then after that, in part 4, the question asked is E intersect F equals to E. Okay, so clearly when we see it in this manner, E intersecting of F, it is actually the overlap part. The overlap part is the entirety of E itself. Okay, so therefore, yes, we see that E intersect F is equals to E. And the reason is because all the elements in E are found in F. Sorry, okay. How am I saying? All the elements in E intersect F. Okay, so what we're seeing over here is that when we have proper subsets, okay, the conclusion that we can draw over here is that if A and B, A is a subset of B. In other words, our Venn diagram looks like this. We see that the intersection itself would actually be the same as the inner set. Okay, so this is the intersection. Okay, later on we'll do some shading for our Venn diagrams. Okay, next we move on to question 3. Okay, question 3 we have G and H being defined as such. Okay, could I maybe just grab someone to answer this question? Winding. Who's that? Okay, yes. Can you tell me what are the elements in G? One, two, three, 4, 6, and 12. Okay, what about the elements in each? 5, 7, 11, and 13. Okay, so having listed out all the elements in G and H already, we will want to find out what is the elements in G intersect H. So those are the common elements, and that would actually be nothing, right? Okay, there's nothing that is in common. So therefore, how do we write it in this set notation then? Do I just write equals to 0? What do we write? Empty set, right? Okay, so you can either write it in this manner, or you want to write it like that, also okay. Okay, but usually I will just use the empty set notation. Okay, so the question also asked to explain. So to explain that, we just say that there are no elements that are in common between the sets G and H. Okay. Next, to draw this Venn diagram. Okay. So now, if we are focused on thinking that all Venn diagrams have the circles overlapping, right? Okay. Then likely for such a question, you might start thinking that you will draw it like that. Okay, but when you have two sets that are actually overlapping, naturally, intuitively, you will start thinking that yeah, there's something that's in common in between. Okay, but in this case, we know that in between itself, okay, there is nothing in common and it is empty. Okay, so in order to show that there is actually that emptiness idea, right? Okay, what we will do is to draw it separately. And that's what we call disjoint sets. Okay, so G and H are actually disjoint. So we will fill it in. Okay, as such. So you need to be familiar with this term, disjoint. And what does it look like in the Venn diagram form? And for disjoint sets, we see that the intersection will always be an empty set. Okay? Intersection where it's overlap, we also want to look at its totality. Okay, its totality, right? Okay, it's what we call union. Am I going too fast or is there an issue? Part 4. All the elements in E intersect F are in E, and you're saying that it should be. Sorry, can you repeat yourself? All the elements in E are in E intersect F. Does it make a difference? But they are equal what? These two sets are equal. Being in the intersection is also an E will make them equal. You write it the other way around, they mean the same thing also. Right? So she's proposing that we write E are in E intersect F. We agree that they're equal, right? The logic is actually the same. Yeah. Because they're equal. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so you can just say that this thing is in that one, the other one is in this one, because they are equal in the first place. Okay? It's not about subsets. Yeah. Or proper subsets. Okay? If you're talking about proper subsets, then yes, there's a difference in which manner you're writing. Okay? So going back to this, I was talking about union. Okay, union, we're looking at the totality of things. Okay. So again, we consider the same sets. as earlier on. Okay, so since you're looking at everything in totality, we notice that yes, there are some things that are in common. Although they are in common, we do not need to repeat it. Okay, so everything itself, if I were to list it all out, there will be numbers from 1 to 7, and that's what we call the union. Okay, and the union itself, you will represent it with this notation. Okay, a capital letter U looking thing, but there is again no tail. Okay. Okay, so this is to describe union. And as mentioned earlier on, okay, similar to the idea of intersection, intersection is a set itself. Likewise, the union is also a set. Okay, and in this case, that set has elements from 1 to 7. Way in drawing out the Venn diagram. The Venn diagram remains the same as how we drew it just now. They overlap, there are things in common. Okay, union is just everything. So whatever is shown in the Venn diagram is everything already. Okay. So looking at practice now 6. Okay, we want to draw a Venn diagram to represent the sets C and D. Okay, so to represent that. In this case, we will have 2 overlapping circles. Since there are actually elements that are in common, that will be U and R. Okay. And then we will put the rest of the elements accordingly on the outside. Then from the Venn diagram, we want to list all the elements in the C union D equation. So from the Venn diagram, I can see what are all the elements. If you want to, you can write it in alphabetical order, but it's not necessary, so we start on 1. Because if you insist upon writing in order, sometimes you may forget, okay, certain elements. You can always write it P, S, V, U, R, Q, T, also okay. Okay, any questions so far? Right. If no questions, I want you to try out question 2 and question 3 of practice now 6. A set of worksheets, so let me go run down and get it, okay? Then you'll do question 2 and 3. that there isn't much issue in terms of identifying the elements inside E and F. Okay, so E for question 4, you should be having 1, 2, 4, and 8. And for F, these are the elements that we have. Okay. Likewise, because we have already been familiar with how we could possibly draw Venn diagrams, I hope that this time around you are able to draw a subset ideal kind of Venn diagram, okay, for E and F. So E is this, F is this, 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. Okay. Then for the union, the appearance of the Venn diagram, you should be able to identify all the elements, okay, and that would be 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. Right? The more important question or deduction that we want to make over here is what is E union F going to be? Okay, so because we can see that E is actually a proper subset, or loosely put, it will be a subset as well. Okay, so if E is a subset of F, okay, the union will be the larger portion, okay, the larger idea, which is going to be F itself. Okay, so in this case, what we see is that if there are subsets, the union will actually be the larger one. So what we can draw as a conclusion over here is that if A is a proper subset of B, A union B is the total of it, the bigger one, so therefore it will be B. Okay, and that means that our conclusion for part 4 in the question is that yes, the statement is true. As well, okay, thus the two and so the two sets are actually equal. Okay. Questions? Next, we look at question 3. Elements for part I is in for the set G. That will be 7, 14, 21, 8, 55, 42, 49, and 56. And for H, okay, this will be the elements. Okay, then to draw the Venn diagram, they will be disjoint. Due to the large number of elements, you may want to draw your sets bigger. And then for the set H, okay, this will be the elements. Okay, and then for part 3, okay, we want all the elements, so that means you have to list out all the elements. Okay, you can list it in numerical order, in ascending order, that's fine, but it's not necessary. Disjoint sets, right? What we see is that the union itself okay, there is no simplified version, okay, there's no simplification to A union B. So A union B will none other be just A union B. Okay, so what we're trying to draw as a conclusion over here is that if there are proper subsets, okay, instead of writing A intersect B, we could actually simplify the notation to just write it as A. So it's the idea of simplification. Okay, if you want to see it that way lah. Okay, because sometimes maybe they want you to simplify the notation, okay, or rather simplify the set that's being described. So A union B for proper subsets will actually be B. Whereas for disjoint, okay, the intersection would be an empty set. The union, okay, there's no way to simplify it at all. It is already a simplified form. Okay. So with that, 1.3 is done. And with that being done, exercise 1CS into your homework list. Where shall I write it now? I write here first, okay? Just 3 questions, 7, 9, and 11. Okay, now we go into the slightly more fun part. We still have 20 minutes left, okay, of sets. I find that 1.1 to 1.3 is usually the quite dry and boring ones. Okay, so thank you for bearing with me. The more fun part will be the shading of Venn diagrams. Okay, so let me distribute out this worksheet. 3, 4, 5. So my fingers very dirty. I don't want to finish it. I will count 5. And he has 25. 1 down, 1 portion back. Behind back row is how many people? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, pass to the back. Okay, how many count to 5? Count to 5. 4, and 1 more. Thank you. Okay, I want everyone to at least have a set of worksheets. That's for your shading. Okay, so one large part of sets, right, understand sets, is in terms of its shading. You will be asked to actually shade Venn diagrams after reading the different notations. Is there an extra copy? Or does anyone not have a copy? You're later going to see the O-level results also, right? Are you excited to see? I say because some of you are taking your own. Right? How many of you are taking your mother tongue results? Oh, so the high mother tongue people all sit this side. So now got disjoint sets, is it? The mother tongue and then the non-mother tongue. Alright, there's some disjoint, right? And then maybe there's slight overlap over there. Okay, then down here is empty space. Instant application of your what you just learned. Okay, sorry, before we go into our shading, okay, since we only got this short amount of time, let's just go directly into shading. We will do practice now 7 and 8. Practice 7 tomorrow. Okay? So let's do some shading. This is a direct copy from your textbook. Because I don't want you to waste time in drawing, let me turn this around. How do I turn this? Okay. Are we not able to see? Okay. Now when it comes to shading, right, you really don't need to shade it like a perfectionist, okay, like what you do in art. Okay? Is there extra copy behind you? Is there extra? Okay, you don't need to shade like artists. All you have to do is draw lines as possible. Could I get your attention? Okay? So let's see. Okay? In this particular case for practice now 8, okay, so in practice now 8 part I, right, we want to shade the region that represents X complement union Y. Okay, so think carefully before you start shading. X complement will be the things that are outside of X. Okay, so the things that are not within this circle, okay, that represents X, and then union with Y. Y is actually this circle. We're looking at union, therefore it will include this overlap part over here, okay? Because we want X complement outside and union with Y, this belongs to Y. So therefore in doing our shading, okay, what we can do is, we can shade it in strokes like this. Okay, so long as your strokes clearly cover the area that you want to represent. Okay, don't need to go and shade with a 2B pencil. Okay, so this is the very basic way of shading lah. Okay. Right? Because we want X complement, which means that it is outside of X and Y. And then we want union. So therefore, everything counts. Okay? Next, part 2. We want X complement intersect with Y. So that means that it is anything that's outside of X. Taking note that it is intersection. Y is this circle. So outside of X, overlapping with Y itself. Okay, and that will only be this area here. Okay. If you struggle with generating and getting this idea, what you could do is to do it in parts, okay, before you commit to the final shading. So what you could do is just draw on the side very briefly. Okay, we want X complement. X complement should actually be this outside of X area. Okay, so this is X complement. And then after that you want intersection with Y. Y will actually be this part. Okay, then you can compare and look carefully where is the overlap, where is the part that is in common. The parts that are in common would actually be this part here. Okay, therefore you commit to only shading this part. Okay, anybody doesn't understand? So this is like a working that you can do at the side. If you cannot visualize it, it's okay. Questions? Understand? You don't understand? What do you not understand? Explain which one more time? Part 2. The working up. Okay, I break this down into 2 parts because I want X complement intersect Y. I first try to understand what does X complement means. X complement means things that are not inside X. That's what we understood about complement yesterday, right? So X is this circle. Outside of X will be everything on the outside of X, which explains why I shaded in this way, the red one. Okay? Then after I try to understand what does Y means. Y is simply just this complete circle, this complete circle. Since you're looking for intersection, which means there is an overlap, I compare the two red areas. How does it overlap? The overlap part is what we commit to the forehead intersection. Okay? Questions? Yes. The first one. Okay? So the same idea. Right? X complement, how does it look like? Okay? So it is actually this part here. The red one. Let me shade it for me. Okay? X complement is this one. Okay? Then Y is supposed to be the complete circle also. Right? But we're looking for union. Union means everything. Okay? So you don't need to really compare, you just shade. Okay, down here shaded, you shade. But down here is actually having this part also. So that's why you need to shade even inside here. Okay? Yeah. So you can break it down into parts first before deciding how to shade it. Shade with pencil, don't shade with pen. Okay, so that you can erase. In your O-level exam, you only get one question paper. You cannot ask for another one. Okay, in the end, you submit just one copy only. Alright? Okay, shall we move on to next one, part 3? Part 3 is slightly more complicated. Okay, so I want your attention. Okay. So for part 3, right, we have X union Y bracket complement. It's just like what we understand about algebra. Okay? Algebra, sometimes we do the brackets, or rather inside the brackets first, right, before we tackle outside. So same thing. We look at the inside first. Inside, we're talking about X union Y. Okay? X union Y is just X this circle, Y this circle. Union both circle. Alright? Easy to answer for this one. So X union Y, both circle. We want complement. That means things that are not inside these two circles. So we just go outside. Okay? So therefore our shading will look something like this. Agree? Yeah. Okay. For unions, usually it's slightly easier because you can just start shading already. Okay. So looking at part 4, we have X complement, union Y complement. Since it's union, okay, so I just find out where is X complement first. X complement is anything outside the X circle. So if you want to, you can go and start shading. Okay. So this is outside the X circle. Okay. Union, the Y complement. Okay. Y complement is outside the Y circle. Okay, which means that I'm looking at this part. Sorry, okay, we're looking at union. So you just shade like that can already. Okay, no need to go and erase, no need to go and think. Alright, whatever that's shaded is already inside. Union but everything, alright? Okay? So essentially, what are you shading for X complement, union Y complement? It is everything except the intersection. Understand? You don't understand which one? Union means everything, right? So you go and determine what is the area to be shaded for X complement first. Then you determine what's area for Y complement. Then that's it. Okay? No need to go and adjust anything. Because union, whatever's in is inside. Okay. Unless you want it to be more tidy lah, okay? You want so many crisscrossing and all that. So let me update what's in my worksheet. It should look like this. So long as you don't shade the intersection, make sure it is clear, your lines end off properly. Okay. Okay. Then for part 5, okay, this is intersection. So this is the one we need to be careful about. Okay. We want x complement intersect with y complement. Okay. It might be easier for beginner to just draw separate diagrams first. Markers out. Okay, so x complement, anything outside of x, okay, y complement, will be anything outside of 1. Okay, now we want the intersection. So we look carefully between this and this, which are the areas that are in common. Okay, it will actually be outside the 2 circles only. Outside the 2 circles. The portion inside the circles, they never ever overlap between the 2 pictures. Okay, so therefore, for part 5, our answer would be the area outside the 2 circles. Okay. Alright, questions? Okay, I'm mindful about the time. Alright, I want you to go and try out part 6 yourself. Okay, try this out. It's not that easy. Tomorrow we will continue with this. Please don't need to go and start on this homework yet. Okay, go and start on your exercise 1A, 1B and 1C. Okay, all these 3 homework due on Monday, so do start working on it already. Not let it accumulate.